So after this week's episode of Fruits Basket, I can definitely say the aspect that I'm currently most excited for learning more about would have to be what Shigure is currently up to. This is a man who has definitely had his underlining dark themes and just messages as seen by some of the things that he would say behind Akito's back. But after this episode, it pretty much confirms that he is perfectly fine with using anyone including Toru, to get to whatever his end goal is, and that's pretty fascinating, because this is a family who is cursed. Every single member of this clan, of the Sohma clan, are cursed, and it's interesting how that can either be their greatest weakness, or sometimes they take that weakness and kind of run with it, as pretty much seen by Shigure. Despite being one of the more comfy and funny and just charming episodes both on a visual and written level, there's actually surprisingly a lot of darker undertones, which is kind of one of the biggest charms to Fruits Basket, in my honest opinion, is how they can blend the serious as well as the comedic in a pretty elegant way. And this episode, even though it was like 90% comedy, that 10% of serious and dramatic really shined. I mean, you have Yuki, who is just someone who clearly is a lonely and very sad person, but in this episode, surrounded by the Valentine's Day love is in the air, which for people who can transform while hugged by the opposite sex is probably one of the most dangerous times of the year for them. And I like how during all of the confusion and just the mayhem going on, he's having all these kind of like attacks towards him by Kyo, and Kyo is someone who is very afraid of something in his past. I mean, he definitely doesn't have it easy. He's the one who kind of gets shunned by the clan, and clearly there's been some things that have held him down in his past, and we're getting glimpses in these little flashbacks that are almost disorienting and we can't quite piece together, but over time we're slowly clicking more and more. And obviously Yuki knows what's happened in the past. Obviously he doesn't push when he needs to, and they clearly have a distrust for each other, but because of Toru, they're kind of mending each other's hearts bit by bit, but they definitely can get bruised easily. And you have someone who's very afraid running away. Near the beginning of the episode, you see Shigure kind of push the buttons, and you kind of first think, oh, he has their best intentions, but then obviously as the episode gets going, you see that he's doing things for his own gain. But I like how Toru isn't someone who just pushes, who says you have to confront your feelings, you have to love Yuki. She literally says it's okay to hate Yuki in this episode, because there's something going on with his current state of mind. There's something that's happened in his past, and she recognizes that both Yuki as well as Kyo are people who can easily be afraid and break, and the only person who can bring them back down to earth is Toru, because she understands how human emotions work, even if she doesn't understand her own, because she literally does hurt herself by putting others first, and being too nice can actually be a weakness as it is for her. And I like how Shigure and the rest, they kind of recognize that every time they go running off or it feels like they're breaking, if Toru's with them, they come back pretty much normal. And it's really interesting to see how she's almost like this welding tool for them, where she can always bring them back. It's going to be interesting to see what each of the sides are kind of using Toru for, both with Akito as well as Shigure, and it's just really interesting to see how in such a charming and fun episode, Valentine's Day special, love is in the air, you got chocolates, you got all of the, the romantic drama that really isn't that big of a deal, except when you are Zodiacs, where you can transform if you are interacting with the wrong person, but still, it's a very charming episode, despite keep getting flashback after flashback after flashback, being like, okay, what is Shigure dreaming of? What is this dream? Who is this person that he's thinking of? Why the hell is Kyo freaking out? What truly happened in the past? And because this is going to be a 60-some-odd episode anime, they have time to foreshadow, make the viewer question what's truly going on, so as the pieces start falling into place more and more, the puzzle will eventually get complete and become a just really impressive piece of art, even though currently it already is an impressive piece of art, but it's going to become a magnificent sculpture by the end. And the comedy was just very fun in this episode. I really love the idea of how you have the cliche, oh, when you open up the locker, all the chocolates will fall out on you, but because each of the girls are so just horrible and hilarious and just super smart, they keep taking everyone else's chocolates out, throwing them away so their chocolates will be there. That shit had me dying. I thought that was such a brilliant way to turn a typical trope that you kind of either know and love or know and hate, and just make it so damn refreshing, seeing all of this, the vultures in their eyes. These girls, Valentine's Day is a frightening thing in this school, I gotta tell you, but it just cracked me up. I love the simplistic just idea to it. I love the idea of the double date. They're not going like forcing romance down your throat. It's more of Kagura is a very scary person, and for Kyo, this is the most dangerous time of the year for him, not only just because there's other girls who will latch onto him, but Kagura is someone, yeah, that girl is absolutely insane, and we love her for it, but I love the idea of the double date because it's such an innocent thing, and you have both Kyo and Yuki just not having any of it, especially during the movie, and you'll see Toru and Kagura just absolutely adoring the film, It's just the simplistic things that just really let this cast flourish. You don't always have to be serious and dramatic. Of course, when they do go serious and dramatic, it's pretty damn emotionally well written, but it's nice to just have that slice of life banter where not everything is always going to be super plot driven or character driven. These are characters around the high school age are going to be able to have daily lives and have fun sequences, especially when you have a cast as pure, as corrupt, and as crazy as this that are Zodiacs, and also you have Toru, who is just an emotionally broken girl who appears to be very positive and bubbly with no cares in the world, but it really does allow for pretty fun sequences and also emotionally heartbreaking ones. I just love seeing just more pieces click more and more. You're seeing some from the past, you're seeing some that will be in the future, and just seeing what the present is doing. This definitely was a setup episode that at first glance appears to be a comfy and fun slice of life episode, but in actuality is one that's setting up for some pretty serious events in the future. I love how Shigure in this episode, who we've seen him say like horrible shit behind Akito's back, but then will approach Akito and be like, "You're my favorite person." Like, this is a man who definitely agrees that he will use anyone, and it definitely shows, but it doesn't make my enthusiasm for this character any less, because I think they all are cursed. It's going to be very exciting to see how just characters such as Toru will be able to bring out the best and also the worst in characters such as Akito, Shigure, just all of them, because there's so much to really explore with this cast, both the pure and the corrupt, and I think for having a story that easily could work as just a simple slice of life fun interactions, I mean, this double date was a great highlight of how you can have the most basic of sequences and it's going to be charming and just romantic and fun and just really something that feels well thought out and put together. I mean, they twisted the chocolate trope on its head and made something actually pretty interesting. But then when you get into the Sohma clan and just what's going on, I obviously don't know everything that they're building up to, but I can see the pieces being laid. Obviously for me, I'm not going to be able to say exactly what they are, but I can see those pieces. I know they're going to be important. I know they're going to be dramatic. I know they're going to twist our minds and just not make us know how to properly feel if we should love or hate a character. And that's what I really like, is that it's foreshadowing. It's setting up events so it doesn't feel like things are just randomly happening. It's an episode of the week. Things are actually important and they're building up. The episode can stand tall by itself as being a fun double date and just, Valentine's Day special, but it also was setting up things for events yet to come, whether that be next week, whether that be 30 episodes from now. And that's how you know the author knows what they're doing. They're building something to actually have a lot of substance, so I can understand why so many people were let down that the original anime didn't actually continue and it was a one and done season, because clearly this is an author who had a lot of visions, a lot of ideas for characters and future plot points, and it's just nice to know that we can actually start watching this anime and know we can have a full adaptation, a full complete story, and not have to go to another medium to experience the full story. That it's actually going to be a proper adaptation, and you can definitely tell that this is a story that knows what it's doing. You can tell there's passion behind the team here, and I'm glad that it's going to run for a few seasons over 60 some odd episodes. I really love the visual presentation anytime they go comedic. I love how they can shift up into chibi or just absolute ridiculous style that just really make this series flourish in the best possible way. The voice actors just having an absolute blast, especially Kyo, who kind of gave that, like, oh, he's very mad, there's going to be some serious undertones here, to then he's just scared of Kagura. And you can tell the actors having an absolute blast performing this character. It's just so great to see the shenanigans play out. But even as fun as this episode was, as much as I was smiling, as much as I was laughing, I can definitely say Shigure stole the show in this episode for me, which I wasn't expecting to say. I thought it would have been a Kyo or Yuki or Toru who would have driven this episode for me. Hell, even Kagura, since she returned for this episode. But Shigure is just menacing aura, the manipulative guy, the author who is trying to write a story in reality to fit his narrative. There's clearly some interesting things going on, and I can't wait to see what his true end goal is. He's definitely risen up my rankings of who I'm most excited to see. Like, Kyo's my favorite character out of all of them, but Shigure has something so menacing, but also so romantic about him that he's able to lure people in. Even when you know you probably shouldn't trust this man, I'm like, you know what? I want to follow you to hell, see what you're building up to. Maybe you got something grand and perfect in mind, or maybe you're absolutely horrible. I don't know, but all these characters, they feel like they're the most cursed of them all, so you can't really say they truly are a bad person. Maybe they're just either doing bad things because of this curse, maybe they're doing bad things because they've had such a bad past. But when you have someone like Toru who can literally mend the hearts of pretty much anyone she comes in contact with, sure, at times it is her greatest weakness because she suffers in result of it, you know that she probably can bring out the best in this family, but that doesn't mean there won't be suffering along the way, which is the great thing about Fruits Basket. It's not just a happy and fun 24/7, everyone's going to be smiling. There's going to be suffering, but at the same time, you feel like each of these characters can bring out the best and the worst in the other, and it feels like it could have a really good ending. And maybe even characters like Akito won't have to be so much of a manipulative person, maybe not as horrible of a person. Maybe people like Shigure won't have to continue to manipulate. There's clearly a lot of things at play. I mean, you have a girl who just tries to kill herself because Shigure wasn't around. Like, they twisted a suicide to a joke, and I'm just like, holy shit, Fruits Basket, what are you doing here? And why is this editor so just absolutely insane because Shigure didn't want to work? There's just some funny, some ridiculous, some head scratchers. This was just a great episode. Really, really strong episode that at first glance feels like a simple episode, then at other points feels like maybe they're just, it's a simple slice of life. There's not much to it. But then this episode actually has some of the most incredible setup and future plot points out of all of them. It actually feels like one of the most important episodes despite appearing like a simple Valentine's Day special. And that's pretty impressive that they can both be an entertaining Valentine's Day special to also be laying so many future plot points to come. That's how you know Fruits Basket knows what it's doing. I'm definitely interested to hear for anyone who watched the original anime, read the original manga, or are anime originals like myself. What are you thinking about this new adaptation of Fruits Basket with this latest episode? What are you thinking of Shigure? Where do you think he's going to go? Obviously, if you haven't read the original source material, where do you think everything's going to lead, and how are you enjoying this adaptation? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like and also hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.